Alrighty, yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Mr. DDG94 back with another reaction video. Today we finna react to uh the worst part of the GOAT debate. This is by Johnny Arnett. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
So for today's video, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there about the most annoying aspect of the GOAT debate. And I didn't write a script for this one, I really just wanted to get my raw thoughts out there, maybe even with a little emotion tied to it. So I thought a script might not come across as naturally, so bear with me as I just get my thoughts out there. I feel like there's been this weird thing in recent years about the GOAT debate. It used to be that we could debate our favorite players, and all I had to do in the debate was prove that my guy was better than your guy. That was what the debate and what the conversation was centered around. My guy was a better scorer, my guy was a better playmaker, my guy was a better defensive player, so on and so forth. But in recent years, and I don't exactly know why this is the case, the debate has kind of shifted a bit. And now it's all about the supporting cast, for better or for worse. Let's look at three players as an example: Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kobe Bryant. I do acknowledge that each of these guys had periods of their career where they didn't have as much support. For example, in the 1980s, when Michael Jordan was first drafted, he was joining a struggling franchise, and he did not have the pieces to compete with an Eastern Conference that was stacked with several.
Well, to be fair, that's the point of when you get drafted so high in the draft. You're not going to get drafted to an elite team. It's not the best team gets the best player in the draft. No, the worst team in the league, gets the best player in the draft. That's how the draft works. So I never understood that. LeBron didn't have all the help he was supposed to get. He was drafted to a garbage team. What did you expect? For them to just turn it over? It's a small market team. It's not the Lakers. It's not Boston. It's not Dallas. It's not the Clippers. They don't have a high budget. They can't just go out there and get star players. The player has to make do with what he got. The fuck, I never understood that argument.
Several different super teams. Then you look at LeBron James. In his first stint in Cleveland, he was
and to add to that, if the player is so great but he didn't have help, shouldn't his greatness make the other players around him great? Just something I thought y'all should think about. How is his greatness not rubbing off on his team? That doesn't. So apparently he's not that great as you think he is. That's just something to think about.
He was able to take them to the NBA Finals in 2007. And sure, they had some decent pieces like Mo Williams and Zydrunas Ilgauskas, but still, that's not the kind of team that you would think would upset a perennial contender in the Detroit Pistons. But LeBron did his thing and drug his team to the NBA Finals. Then you look at Kobe Bryant, and from 2005 to 2007, he really didn't have that much support. Sure, he had Lamar Odom, but they were trying to shoehorn Lamar into a Scottie Pippen role. And when he was truly thriving in Los Angeles, that's when he was a sixth man coming off the bench. When you look at the rest of his supporting cast, guys like Luke Walton, Kwame Brown, Chris Mihm, and Smush Parker, somehow, with that group, the Mamba was still able to drag them into the NBA playoffs, and even pushed a talented Phoenix Suns team to 7 games. So again, all of these players have had points where they didn't have that great of a supporting cast relatively, and were still able to do great things with their groups.
Exactly.
But that's not what I'm talking about. An example of what I'm talking about is a guy like Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen is so ridiculously politicized within the basketball community, and it's just frustrating at this point. It's like I can't even talk about Scottie with an objective analytical approach without people assuming my agenda. I have made the smallest compliments about Scottie, about his defensive abilities, about his ability to play the point forward, and about how good he is in transition. And people in comment sections and people within this community will make a big fuss about it and say that I'm secretly a LeBron James fan because I'm trying to elevate Scottie Pippen. Now some of the most passionate Jordan fans seems like they're trying to convince everyone that Scottie shouldn't have been one of the 75 greatest players of all time.
That's a fucking reach. Scottie deserves his flowers, bro. No matter how you feel about Scottie, Scottie deserves his flowers, bro. That's a fucking reach. Like, bro, Scottie was really good. Like, people, like, that just goes to show you that people weren't really watching like that. Scottie was really fucking good. They acting like this nigga was fucking, acting like this nigga was fucking, trying to think of somebody. I can't really think of nobody. They act like this nigga was Thanasis. This nigga was not no fucking Thanasis. This nigga was a bona fide threat. Jordan could give you 40, could give you 30, 40, 50. Scottie could give you 30. Scottie could give you 30 to 40 max. But he didn't because he had Jordan. He didn't have to carry the load like that. So he just did the dirty work. That was Scottie's role. Do the dirty work. Get the rebounds, push the ball, guard the best player on the team, shut them down. Like shit, they tag Jordan and Scottie would tag team niggas and make your life a living fucking hell. But I digress though. People don't want to give Scottie his flowers. It's okay.
When Michael Jordan himself said in his own documentary that you shouldn't bring up Michael Jordan without bringing up Scottie Pippen. On the other hand, it works the same way for LeBron James. You say anything positive about Anthony Davis and suddenly you're trying to take away from LeBron. Or if you talk about how strong his Cleveland group was in his second stint. Nobody takes a bigger dump more consistently on Kevin Love than LeBron James fans. Kevin Love in Minnesota was an absolute problem. He was a great three-point shooter, he was a tremendous outlet passer, he was one of the best rebounders in the entire league, and at his best, he was getting around 25 points per game.
Same thing could be said for Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh was a top-tier power forward, especially when LeBron left Miami. When LeBron left Miami, Chris Bosh was becoming Toronto Chris Bosh again, but sadly the blood clots caught up to him. So yeah, shout out to Chris Bosh though.
Then he went to Cleveland, and instead of being the number 1 option, he became the number 3 option between Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. And of course, his numbers were reduced. And I think that had more to do with the fact that he was playing with those 2 alpha players who are both ball dominant and who both look to score. Naturally, third fiddle players always see their numbers reduced. But LeBron fans expect me to ignore all of that context and pretend that Kevin Love was just a carcass on the court. These narratives drive me insane. Another example of this is Kobe Bryant. And listen, I am very clear and very honest about the fact that I am a massive Lakers fan and a massive Kobe Bryant fan. With that being said, I still think I can be objective at times, and a lot more than some other Kobe Bryant fans are capable of. Look at this iconic photo of Kobe Bryant, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. This photo is awesome because it displays what Kobe was willing to stand up to and the talent that he had to overcome in order to win his 5th championship ring. But apparently that wasn't enough, and people then photoshopped it to turn into this photo. Lakers fans are using this photoshopped image to preach the narrative that Kobe almost single-handedly overcame a super team Boston Celtics. And sure, it might look like a cool image, but I also think it's highly disrespectful to none other than Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol was a major reason why Kobe was able to win back-to-back championships, winning his 4th and 5th ring. He deserves to be in this image as well. And if you're saying that Kobe did it single-handedly against this super team, you're being massively disrespectful.
Right.
Gasol deserved to be in that image the instant that he first put on a purple and gold jersey and had an amazing game in his debut, while Kobe basically didn't do much. And in the post-game interview after that debut game for Pau Gasol, Kobe declared that there is a God. That's how excited he was to have Gasol as a co-star. Sure, there is the famous clip where Kevin Garnett is talking about how Kobe Bryant was out there by himself. But KG was clearly wrong here, and he's not giving the respect due to Pau Gasol. In Game 7 of the 2010 NBA Finals, Kobe shot 6 of 24 from the field. And sure, the Mamba stepped up and hit clutch shots down the stretch and secured 15 rebounds, but he needed the help from Pau Gasol, who had 19 points, 18 rebounds, and 4 assists.
Damn.
Clearly, Kobe wasn't out there by himself in Game 7. Again, I've brought up examples for each of these guys where fan bases are purposely trying to diminish the supporting cast of their favorite player. And it's frustrating because it's done in bad faith. It's dishonest basketball discussion that isn't based in true analysis. It's purely based in the fact that they're fanboys. But that's just one side of the coin. Now you get the complete opposite. For example, LeBron James fans will try to exalt Scottie Pippen. And I've even seen some people claiming that Scottie Pippen was the second best player in the entire league when he was on the Chicago Bulls. And I'm telling you, anybody who was old enough to be watching basketball in the 1990s wasn't thinking that back then. Guys like Charles Barkley, Isaiah Thomas, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, and Akeem Olajuwon are all guys who were seen as well ahead of Scottie Pippen. Scottie was a great player in many aspects, but one of the ways he wasn't as impressive was his scoring. At his peak, he was averaging about 22 points per game, and he was never the best at creating opportunities for himself. But again, that doesn't fit the narrative. And in order to make Michael look small, we have to elevate Pippen as close to his level as possible. The same thing happens with Kobe and LeBron. People say all the time that Pau Gasol should have been the MVP in the 2010 NBA Finals.
Fuck no.
Even when the numbers don't back that up, and even when Kobe was the clear leader of that team. People say that Anthony Davis should have been the Finals MVP in 2020, even though the numbers don't back that up, and even though he clearly wasn't the leader of the squad either. This might just end up falling on deaf ears. But basically what I'm doing is pleading people to have more honest conversation when talking about the greats of NBA basketball. The quickest way you lose my respect as a basketball fan is to try to diminish other players in order to exalt your favorite player. Everybody should recognize at this point that basketball is a team sport. There's nothing shameful about admitting that a great player needed help to win a championship. Everyone does. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you guys to do something in the comment section below. Give me an example of when another guy stepped up and helped your favorite player look better in the process. I look forward to hearing your suggestions in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Alright, man. I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying. It's just I don't get into these debates. That's the number one thing about me as a basketball fan. I don't get into these debates because they're fucking stupid. Like, I'm gonna be real with y'all. If you ask me who the greatest player is, I'm gonna tell you Allen Iverson every time, and I'm gonna piss you off for it. And people get mad at me when I say that. Everybody say, Allen Iverson? What made you say Allen Iverson? Because it's bigger than basketball. It's deeper than basketball. With me and Allen Iverson, it's deeper than basketball. Like, y'all niggas will never understand that because you're stuck in your ways. You're stuck in what ESPN tells you or what the consensus will tell you. Nobody has a mind of their own anymore. I remember back in the day, people used to have minds of their own. I remember people used to say they thought Steve Francis was the best player in the league. Somebody thought Yao Ming was the best player in the league. Like, everybody was entitled to their own opinion. It was like everybody was saying Kobe back then. Some people were saying Tracy McGrady, some people saying Vince Carter, some people saying Paul Pierce, some people were saying Jason Kidd, Tim Duncan. I was one of the few that was saying Allen Iverson. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it used to be back in the days. Everybody used to have their favorite, bro. Everybody used to have their own player. Now it's like whatever ESPN says, whatever the consensus say, whatever anybody says anymore, it's like that's the norm now. Instead of you just liking what you want to like. So what if a motherfucker got more rings than another motherfucker? So what if a motherfucker got more points than another motherfucker? So what if a motherfucker got stats that probably can't be touched? So what? Like who you want to like. If you ask me who the GOAT is, I'm going to tell you Allen Iverson every time. But that's because it's personal. That's my own personal favorite. I don't do consensus. I hate the consensus. But everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and that's fine. But anyways, though, that's just going to about do it for this one. I'll see y'all in the next video. Till then, peace out.